waits, and Johsnon scores!
Massaba's in the middle. Wednesday here could seal it. Gassman finds Massaba. Yeah!
It's now Bannon with a great ball in. Here's an opportunity. Palmer scores! Liam Palmer has scored for Sheffield Wednesday.
Once again, we concede the first goal, but this time there's no miraculous comeback for us to talk about as we end 2024 with a defeat. Hope you've all had a great Christmas. I want to wish you all a Happy New Year as well. Hello and welcome to Wednesday Tie-Dye Podcast. I'm James Mappin, and alongside me, as he always is Matt Johsnon. Matt, before we get into the football, how are you? All good? Good Christmas and all that?
Yeah, all good, mate. Thank you very much. How was your Christmas, James?
I no longer have a living room, considering all the presents that the kids have got and the fact that they've got a pool table that also turns into basketball net, air hockey, and everything else. Table football, add that onto the list. Yeah, so great. I need another house to fit everything in.
Oh, I'm pleased. I'm pleased Litland's enjoyed it. Yeah.
How much Lego has your lad got though?
I was just going to say I'm sat around by half the Lego shop here, so yeah, he's by the sound of it fairly similar, mate. To be honest, can't wait till they all go back to fucking school.
Yeah, good. Yeah, exactly the same here as well. I mean, look, there's no midweek show, so we're going to touch on the Borough game as well. Which, I mean, if it was a 0-0. I probably wouldn't have, considering that we came back from 3 goals down. I suppose we've got to talk about it in some capacity, and we'll also talk about today's defeat to Preston earlier on as well. A reminder that everyone can get involved in the comments. If you're watching live, we'll read some of them out throughout the show. And yeah, I saw there was one earlier. It was 3-1. I know. I put 2-1 in the title. I have attempted to change it. If it has or not, yeah, whatever. Don't at me. It's been one of those days today. Yeah. Before we start, 2024 is coming to an end, Matt. We stayed up. Now we're in the end of the year 11th. Good season so far. Has it been a good year from your perspective?
100%, James. 100%. This time last year, I thought we would be currently playing League One football. The fact that we're not, and the fact that we are sat firmly absconded in mid-table. Yes, we are 11th, joint 9th, which is depends on which way you'd like to look at it, whether it's glass half full or half empty. Yeah, as a Sheffield Wednesday fan, I think when you sit back and reflect on the year, it's been nothing but positives in terms of stuff that's gone on the pitch. It's been an unbelievable 2024 from where we found ourselves at the start of the year. Yeah, I don't think any Sheffield Wednesday fan can argue about that. How do you feel about it, James? Do you feel it's been a good year as well for Wednesday or not?
Well, yeah, like you said there, this time last year, it didn't look great, did it? Yes, we had Danny Rule. Yes, things looked better, but I felt all the damage had been done, and I just felt that we were going to probably come a little bit short. The fact that we haven't, and then now, we're disappointed about, losing 2 games in 7 or 8 games or whatever it is, and we're really pissed off and disappointed. Do you know what I mean? And disappointed that we didn't beat Middlesbrough, even though we were 3-0 down at half time. I think the strides that we've taken, when you take a step back and have a look at it, it's easy when you're in the midst of the game. Like today, we're going to be talking about the defensive calamities and all stuff like that, and how we, gifted them at least 2 of the goals anyway. It's difficult to kind of look at the bigger picture when it's all happening in front of you. But actually, when you take stock and think about it, yes, we have actually made some great strides. Certainly on the pitch, as you've mentioned. Danny Rill's working absolute miracles with what he's got. So yeah, I think it has been, when we think back, it has been a good season. There's been a lot of highs. I mean, look, there's been some big hidings as well. Let's not shirk about it. You know what I mean? There's been a lot of goals conceded, not as many goals scored as we perhaps would have liked. But look, this is where we are. We've got a shoestring budget, and I think we're punching well above our weight at the moment. So yeah, for me, it's been a big tick. Decent season, but we all want more, don't we? We all want more. Every Wednesday fan wants that little bit extra. We're 11th, joint 9th. Everyone's like, oh, we can just just sign that 20 goal a season striker in January. Just sign that world class centre back, and we'll just creep into top 6. But that's just normal, isn't it? That's just human nature creeping in. Before we talk about the Middlesbrough game, I just want to talk about something that happened in both games, both Borough and Preston. The defending, absolutely woeful at times, isn't it? Really, I mean, it's like Sunday League defending, isn't it? Some of the goals that we've conceded.
Yeah, I know we're going to touch on both games. I think the Middlesbrough game, we were put apart by effectively one of the best first half performances I think as a Sheffield Wednesday fan will see this year from Middlesbrough in the first half. As bad as we were, Middlesbrough were really, really good in that first half. Defensively, second half, we were much better and a lot more solid with the change to shape. Today, again, we'll come on to individual player performances. This is the back end of a long run of games where we've been playing 2 wing backs at centre half and a centre half who is not comfortable on the ball, and you get what you get today. Defensive unit is not that solid and strong. Deshaun Bernard, Akin Famewo, Dominic Iorfa that we were seeing around sort of like the Portsmouth when our form started to pick up and turn, and we've been riding pretty much, doesn't matter how many you score, we will manage to come back into a game and either more than likely win it. It's really, really difficult, I think, again, as Mark has just put in the chat there, because defending is a collective responsibility. And at times I've felt that the back 3, 4, 5, however you want to describe it, has been exposed by playing in midfield 2. I don't think you can level that at the back 3 this time. I think they have to take the responsibility firmly on their shoulders today in terms of that first half performance. We were incredibly dominant in that first half, and had it not been for our inability to jump at a back post header and a centre half not tracking their runner, we go in at 0-0, comfortably in control of the game. And as it turns out, we go in 1-0 down and have to start changing shape and changing something, which I was actually really positive about the way we played in the first half today. But ultimately, again, just going back to that wider point that you were making, James, at the top of this about kind of like a good year and kind of how's the season been so far. If you'd have told me when Akin Famewo went off injured, we would be finishing the year with Max Lowe and Jan Valery at centre half, and we would be still on a really good run of form. What was it, 2 games in 7 or 8 that we've lost? I'd have bit your hand off for it. So I can't complain too much.
Yeah, I think you're right there. You have to look and who were we playing at centre back? And you're right, we're playing Dom Iorfa, who can play centre back, but he's certainly not playing in middle of a 3. That's not his position. And then you've got two full backs or wing backs in Max Lowe and Valery, who again, they're not centre backs. Like, as much as Max Lowe's been doing fantastic, a solid 7, 8 out of 10 every single week, he's not a centre back, and eventually you're going to come a little bit unstuck at times. I think there's like 3 things have gone wrong, haven't they? Really, one is the injury to Akin Famewo. 2, obviously Deshaun Bernard picking up a suspension is not helping.
Can I just say on that, James? I really hope he's enjoyed his Christmas.
Yeah, exactly. I hope he went on a nice week away with his missus. Actually, I hope his missus enjoyed it.
Yes.
Hopefully, he's not getting that sort of time off at Christmas.
6 bastard goals, Deshaun. Get back in there.
Yeah, if there's anything that's showing us how much we need Deshaun Bernard, it is exactly 6 goals conceded in 2 games, not good enough. But and the third thing is not signing another centre back in the summer. Yeah. It was a glaring, obvious mistake, and it's just I think that last couple of games it's come to bite us in the arse a little bit. But look, he's back. He's back for the 1st of January. All will be good.
New year, new me. No more Reds.
Yeah. Before we start talking about Borough, then let's talk about this away day today. Then you've been at Deepdale for the how many times have you been there, Matt?
5 or 6. Yeah, 5 or 6. It's an interesting ground, and Preston's an interesting place just all round, really. I mean, as an away day, it is. I think the 12:30 today really didn't help in terms of there were just shy of 6,000 of us there today.
Amazing support, by the way. In between Christmas and New Year, nearly over 5,000 fans going to Preston. I know it's not a million miles away, but still absolutely amazing effort. Which look, we come to expect that now, don't we? To be fair.
Yeah, 100%. It was made an awful lot more difficult with train cancellations and people having to hop on this or then hop on buses at last minute and blah, 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 or choosing to drive or whatever. Yeah, I mean, it's for anybody who hasn't been to Preston before, it's a really simple away day. It's literally 5-10 minutes off the M6, and it is really easy to get to. If it's a 3 o'clock kickoff, I know lots of people go to Blackpool before and have a couple of beers by the seaside, and then make the way up to Preston because it's not very far down the road. There are a couple of people who I know also went there yesterday and stayed overnight who were looking a bit worse for wear this morning. Yeah, it was. I mean, it was an interesting away day. So if anybody follows us on socials, will have seen that I posted a working men's club which is called St Michael's or St Gregory's, which is a stone's throw away from the ground, but it is like stepping back in time when you walk in. Like 11:30, some bloke came on. Hello all, thank you very much for joining us today. Anyway, the raffle will be starting in 15 minutes time. I'll be selling tickets and we'll do the draw about 12:15, £50 cash prize. Good luck. And I was thinking, fucking yes. And they've got all
if they stayed a little bit longer, they'd have had open the box.
Mate, honestly.
A bit of bingo as well, you know.
Pasty pea supper, £4. What more do you want? But yeah, just on that, because it was one of the only places that was open, because obviously most people, if they do go for a midday one, they'll go and drink in town and then make the way up to the ground because it's not a million miles away. It's about a mile and a half walk, or you can get a cab. And if you've had a couple of beers, it always seems to go a lot quicker when you're with your mates. But because there was nowhere open and loads of people hadn't got the train, every bastard was trying to get in there. So it was half an hour, 45 minutes people were told at the door that it's going to be until you get served, which was cut down a little bit. So people obviously then went into the ground.
Just on that, I bet the raffle man were gutted. The jackpot could have been about 500 quid this week.
I know. I think he'd have still kept it at 50 and just pocketed all the rest. Had a wonderful New Year's. But yeah, and then you go into the ground. I was beforehand chatting with Paul Gregory, again better known as Tango. I was chatting to him and just basically passing on congratulations from every Wednesday fan, basically for saying for what he's been doing of the one in every corner, where he's been raising money for defibrillators to be placed in all corners of Hillsborough, and he's trying to widen that out. It was, I mean, again, I spoke about it when I spoke to him at Derby. Really amazing cause, something that I think every Sheffield Wednesday fan should be incredibly proud of, that that he, as a Sheffield Wednesday kind of like fan, has taken up that mantle and decided to do something about it at football. So really, really positive. Yeah. And then the concourse started filling up. I mean, I was chatting with Craig and Cliff beforehand, who I spoke to before Coventry, both of whom were a lot more sober today, which was good. And then the concourse starts filling up, and with 6,000 of you. The other thing about Preston is because I was on row 37, which was near enough as far back as you can go.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, the stairs getting up there. What a ball. Honestly, I got up to the top and I'd class myself as a relatively fit individual. I got up to the stairs and I was out of breath. I was like...
So is it just one gangway? There's no
two tiers.
How many rows on the north? I sit on row 17. I think you can only go up to like 18 or 19 before it kind of cuts off. So there must only be 40 odd rows on the north. And we have two levels, don't we? So.
No, there's no two levels. There's just one level, one entry, one gangway, which is good for creating an atmosphere and half time and before the game and all the rest of it. But it does make getting out of there difficult, and also getting into get your seat and all the rest of it quite difficult. But yeah, it's an interesting away day, because I always think with Preston we either do really well there or we're piss poor. Like there's very much no in between. Like I go back to the Danny Bart and Ben Marshall 2-0 around this time of year in promotion season. What was it, 2011, 2012?
Yeah, like 13 years ago that was.
Yeah, that was really, really good. The other one that sticks in my mind is we played them opening day of the season once, and we were all really, really keen. It was that fucking horrible gold and black striped kit, and we lost. I think we lost 1-0 or 2-0 or it was the 3-3, and last year, obviously, an Adam Reach's goal.
The Adam Reach one is the one that stands out for me. I know I posted it on the socials earlier on today, just for the commentary alone. Yeah. Just and the noise. Obviously, they've got a microphone in the goal, and you hear that, like, it like
Dunk,
pings
dunk.
off something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and everyone going absolutely berserk. So yeah, that's the one that stands out for me. I think quite a lot of the games in recent times, in recent years, have all been. I think obviously not necessarily at Deepdale, but at Hillsborough as well, have all been. Each side's either scored a goal between one apiece or a 1-0 win or a 0-0. There's not been many goals in it. Obviously today. And 4 goals, not exactly a thriller either.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was a average away day, Seth?
I think this is parroted quite a lot on social media, but I do think there is something to it. I think it's when we seem to take a really large number and it's not a all or nothing game. Like I think Milton Keynes away was probably the pinnacle for the amount of Wednesday fans we took. That one which was on Sky on a Saturday night where we won 3-2 and there were like 7,000 of us down there and that was like a party the entire time.
Blackburn were decent as well last season.
Yes, yeah, but again, loads of jeopardy on the game.
Yeah,
I think it's when it's these games where there's not really a lot on it. I don't want to say it does filter through, but it does feel a little bit more flat. And I will also say, Preston are not one for backing their team at home. You know, I know we get accused of having a poor atmosphere at Hillsborough. The atmosphere from Preston fans is quite frequently very, very quiet, and so was the case today. And I think when you've got 6,000 odd fans away from home, and also the performance is a bit meh in the second half, it kind of tends to lead itself to a bit more sort of like 6,000 if you all stood in the goal behind it going, right. Which was a lot more like today, which for any Preston fans who are listening, I'm sure that will have made your blooming Christmas and New Year. You know, 6,000 very partisan fans turning up and by the end of it leaving very thoroughly flat and disgruntled. So yeah, I mean, it was okay. I think it was okay. It wasn't one of the ones that will live long in the memory for kind of like this season. I think there has been better ones and there will be better ones coming. Yeah,
right. Let's backtrack a little bit then. Let's go to Boxing Day. Let's just touch on the Borough 3-3 line-up: Beadle in goal, Valerie, Otugbayo, Max Lowe, Johnson, Charles, Bannon, Gassama, Windass, and Jamal Lowe. I've got Gassama written down twice there. I don't think he played twice, just the once. But there was 2 changes. Jamal Lowe and Otugbayo came in. Bernard obviously suspended, and Michael Smith made way. Yeah, Otugbayo got his first league start. Just on him. Overall, I felt like when he's come off the bench, he's looked good, he's looked solid, looked kind of played his part. I did feel a little bit, I mean, it doesn't help when you've conceded 3 goals. I saw a few comments saying, rabbit in headlights and stuff. It wasn't, I didn't see it as a performance going, yep, he's the one, he's the centre-back for us. Clearly, Danny didn't think that either because he didn't play today. I mean, it's great that he got a start. It's great that he got an opportunity. Yeah. I don't think he disgraced himself. I'm not saying he had a shocker or anything like that. There was a few moments where he struggled a little bit. But like I said, he's only a young lad, and fair play for him to taking that opportunity at the end of the day.
100%. With all kindest respect, he's a kid. Like, he will make mistakes, he will learn, he will be a better player for having played in that first half and that game.
And let's be right, he'll be shitting his pants as well. He's got to be.
I mean, how much would your head have been spinning with the way in which that Middlesbrough were playing and how poor we were in that first half? Like, and again, without wanting to dig Dominic Iorfa out, because I know we will come on to his performance today, playing alongside somebody who is not naturally comfortable with the ball at his feet, I think does also lend itself to you as a young kid, potentially when you go 2-0 down in quick fire fashion away from home in your first league start, you are going to be panicked. He's not all of a sudden just going to calm everything down. He will be better for that experience. And yeah, I'm pleased that he got his start. He deserved it. But I think, Danny did the right thing today in sort of taking him out of that firing line from what happened on Boxing Day.
Yeah, because it could really damage players as well, to be fair. I mean, that first half has to go down as one of the worst halves that we've had in a long time. I mean, you want to put Sunderland in there as well earlier on this season, but my oh my, like we just looked a different side, like in terms of just looked so poor. We couldn't string 2 passes together. I mean, everything that they touched turned to gold as well. But again, the defending was just abject. And I said when it was 3-0, I said it was game over. Clearly, it wasn't. Danny had other ideas. Yeah, exactly. But just watching it, it was like I said, it was a real poor first half, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think the double pivot in midfield. So again, without wanting to get too technical, Middlesbrough play two midfielders who have the opportunity and the ability to kind of obviously go back to front and all the rest of it. It killed us, like in that first half, and it released players into space. And I suppose when you're playing a 3 against a 2 in midfield, and those 3 are quality players, and one of those players is Windass, who at the minute, everything he touches in a Middlesbrough shirt turns to gold. He's on double figures for goals and assists this season in terms of like he's got enough to obviously push himself over. It can happen. And in that first half, Borough took us to shreds, because there would have been lots of sides who would have seen how poor we were. And we've seen them over this little run of games. We're poor and we start slowly. And actually, a team doesn't capitalise on it at all. And fair play to Middlesbrough. They really did put us to the sword. Aside from Latte Lath missing one of the most shocking back passes that we've seen this year from Marvin Johsnon. Yeah. Apart from taking that, I know there was an offside that was given, but he still should have stuck the ball in the net. Realistically, no Sheffield Wednesday fan could complain at half-time the fact that it was 3-0. We deserved everything that we got in that first half. Yeah,
do you know what? There was the moments where I felt we had. Well, if you said to me we would have 10 men, I'd have probably gone, yeah, looks like it. They looked like they had a man over every single time. They had an extra man in so much space, and you're thinking, what are we doing? Like chasing shadows here, just running around aimlessly. It did feel like that, didn't it?
Yeah, I think, as good as I've just said, it's much easier when Middlesbrough play with 15 versus 11, because that's how it felt. Like it did genuinely feel like you might as well chuck a ball on for these boys, because they're not getting anywhere near it at this point. They were really, really good, and it was all very sort of reminiscent of, do you remember Easter weekend? Was it Good Friday when we played them last year? Yeah. And again, they just took us apart in the centre of the park, and we just couldn't get near them. Yeah, it was everything that we went in at that half-time sort of being 3-0 down. The exact opposite was true at full-time, 90 minutes.
Yeah, Matt, I want to roll Peter. God, we'll
get there.
Second. Preston. And the other team beginning with P. How many more teams beginning with P? Any more? Port Vale? I might throw that one in as well.
Port Vale, Plymouth. Go on, keep going.
Peterborough. Anyway, Preston. We'll roll Preston into this as well, but we can't keep conceding the first goal. I was looking, that's now the 15th time this season that we've conceded the first goal, which, like, I know it's great. What is it, 15 points from losing positions? We've won 4 when we've gone behind. It's a great stat to have. We're top of that league table. I'd rather us be at the bottom with none, because we've never gone behind in any game. Like, let's be honest about it, because we're just making it so hard for ourselves. I know we conceded. Well, we didn't just concede 1. We conceded 3 against Borough. We conceded 1 against Preston. I know obviously we came back, but then again, finished 3-1. But like we've been applauding the mental strength of the players to come back, and I know obviously we did against Borough, but there's going to come times like today where you concede the first goal and then you do lose the game. And look, I know the players aren't going out there to concede that first goal, but it's just there's a pattern emerging, isn't there? It's happening every single game, and it's always in the first half as well. I think that now, it's 8 times now that we've been behind at half time out of the 24 games that we've played, which again, that's making it difficult for us.
Really difficult. And I think, just before we go on to how difficult that's making us, we need to give some credit to Sasha Lenz here. The mentality that he has instilled in these players since coming into the club. We often on this podcast roll kind of Danny and the coaching staff into one. Like singling him out is well worth it. He's brought in as a mentality coach, and there is a very much a never say die attitude amongst these. Today at Preston away is a prime example. It just ran out of tricks. Like that magic just ran out, and we have been pulling results out of thin air and out of our arse for a long while. And the longer that goes on, I suppose, the more belief is in there, and that's great. Like legitimately, that is brilliant. That this team went 3-0 down at Middlesbrough, and there was that change and tweaking a system and a never say die, get that first goal, and then all of a sudden, inside of 15 minutes, the game's flipped on its head. Today, was the absolute shithouse of a team that you come up against, who everything breaks to them, everything falls to them, like decisions and all the rest of it that sort of, could go either way, go to them. And that box of tricks just runs dry. And you
What's
just
that saying is that you can only go to the well so many times.
100%, yeah.
That's how we're playing at the moment. We'll go behind and having to dig deep again, and teams will might play with a low block or whatever, make it hard for you to break them down. Didn't really happen against Borough because they just went on and scored 2 more.
Yeah.
But that's going to happen. When you come up against certain opposition, and it's just going to make it difficult. And you're having to. It's much easier to just score that first goal, which we've done it 7 times this season, but conceding the first goal 15 times. I want it to be more parity in that number. But just making it too hard for ourselves. You mentioned them there, Ingleson and Shalabar. They came on at half time against Borough. There was a tactical change as well. I mean, it was a masterstroke of genius, weren't it? Making that change that he did. I think Shalabar, a Rolls Royce in midfield, the way that he kind of when he gets his foot on the ball, I feel like it's going in slow motion. He's just got that much time. I think his awareness and his vision and the reading of the game is just second to none. So far from what we've seen of him. And then Ingleson blows hot and cold, doesn't he? But he was certainly blowing hot against Borough because. Like I said, them coming on and the little tactical tweaks that Danny did. I put a tweet out saying what would you be saying at half time, and clearly, I don't think what people were putting were quite
Gary forward.
Were quite exactly what Danny would have said. But it would be interesting to see what he actually did tell him, because whatever he did say, 100% worked.
I mean, the thing that killed us, as I say, in that first half was the midfield battle, and we lost it completely, and Middlesbrough took full advantage of it. The second half wasn't even close in terms of the centre of the park, and that realistically is where the game was kind of like pulled back to 3-3, in my opinion. He sat Shalabar on Finn Azaz in front of that back 4 as like a 1 on his own. Shalabar did that good a job. Zaz got hooked. That allows Shea Charles and Bannon to go forward and engage those 2 players who are playing as that double pivot in terms of being that link between the back 4 and obviously your forward players. And it completely nullified Middlesbrough. And how many times have we sat here on this podcast and said it's taken us 20 minutes to figure out what that team's doing? And by that point, they've scored. Middlesbrough couldn't figure it out. The only difference was we scored 3 in that time, in that 15-minute spell. Svante Ingleson obviously got a lot of plaudits, but you're 100% right. I'll hold my hands up. I was not sure about the Nathaniel Shalabar signing when we signed him, just based off obviously what I'd heard from West Brom fans. What I've seen of him so far, I think today also again at Preston, the fact that he was hooked at half time, I don't think that's a reflection on him. I think that's a reflection obviously on the system tweak. I thought we were good, and I thought we were far more solid in the first half than we were the second. And again, that proved the same at Middlesbrough. He's proving myself and anybody else who had doubts about him at the moment wrong. He is, really, really comfortable on the ball, dictates the tempo, dictates the play of the game. I would like to see him given more of a run and that midfield 3 go, be utilised more going forward, because in that second half at Middlesbrough, it was everything that you would expect, you would hope to see as a Sheffield Wednesday fan, because it just released everybody around him. It released Ingleson, it releases Windass, it releases, like everybody to go and just be a lot more pressing, because you've got that solid central base of your 3 centre midfielders and your 2 centre or your 3 centre halves. Everybody else we'll deal with the mess that's left behind from it. I just thought it was really, really good. And again, I totally understood why Danny started with that at Preston today. But again, rightly, both of those players came away with a lot of plaudits from Middlesbrough.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just like on the goal for Svante Ingleson, the one that made it 3-1, great run by Gassama. He actually let the ball go at the right time as well for once, which just shows when he does that how effective it can be. And Charles absolutely bombing down on the right hand side. You didn't really expect to see him out there, but that's where he was. And then the other thing, which I've been banging on about so many times, is players getting into the box. Players arriving into the box. That's exactly what Ingleson did. Well picked out pass or cross, whatever you want to call it, from Charles. I know Ingleson was a little bit fortuitous with the deflection that kind of took it over the goalkeeper. It might have gone in anyway without that, but still gets his head down, keeps it low, gets it on target. He didn't. How many times have you seen them go ballooning over the bar? Considering how we played in the first half, you probably put your money on that exactly happening. But to get the goal how we did, and obviously Ingleson was instrumental in the second goal, which were bundled over by Windass, and then to get the third. Do you know what? I've come away from that Borough game at half time thinking, do I watch the second half?
Yeah.
to then get into full time and thinking, fucking hell, we should have won that one.
Yeah, and that was the thing, wasn't it? Is obviously we were helped with Middlesbrough going down to 10 men, which again, we can sit and argue about Sheffield Wednesday decisions. For me, that's a soft yellow. That's a soft second yellow. I agree that he's tripped him, but I also think that's, if you're a referee, I think there's got to be some sort of stop. You are on your last warning here. Calm down. Because the first one that he makes on Josh Windass is a yellow card all day. That one, I felt it was cute from Shea Charles, nicks it round him, and then goes and initiates contact. I do think, obviously, the defender does make contact with him and does, look to bring him down and stop the run. But again, ultimately, referee makes a decision and we go and capitalise on it. I suppose the only slightly annoying thing is obviously it felt like a little bit like we'd done everything in those 15 minutes to drag ourselves back, and players were just bollocksed after that, because we had a little concerted pressure of about 5 minutes. Middlesbrough looked to hit us on the break with, I think, Isaiah Jones, who James Beadle made a smart save from. But aside from that, they didn't do anything other than really seriously just actually manage the game out. And we had a lot of the ball, but again, we've said it a couple of times, more towards the start of the season, less so over the past couple of weeks, because we play a very different way now. It's that quality to break a team down and unlock a team when they're actually sat in. We just still, as we saw today, we just don't have that final pass in us. We just make consistently those wrong or difficult decisions. And actually what that leads to is, when I'm thinking in particular here about that Shea Charles, Dominic Iorfa wins the ball, lays it off to Shea Charles beats two people, squares it across the box. For all the world, you're thinking there's got to be a Wednesday player just running in to tap this in. But because the deliveries aren't consistently good, players stop making those runs and they look for the easier cut back, and the ball flashes past. And I think it ultimately ended up going out for a throw-in, I think. But it's those decisions, and we saw, again, a lot of that today at Preston. Players making really good runs into the box, or really good opportunities into crossing positions, and it's always not the right ball in, and then players stop making those runs. And then when one of them does come in, everybody's frustrated at the striker for not making that run.
Yeah, it's funny because you said, obviously, that the red card helped. In hindsight, I think it had the opposite effect. I think them going down to 10 men, they then made the changes, didn't they? They brought off their two most creative players. And I think once they did that, they just kind of almost sat back and kind of thought, right, let's just not throw it away. I know they went on to concede another goal after that, but it comes from a corner, which, I mean, we don't score from corners anyway. At the best of times.
A near post corner, James.
Yeah. And Jan Valery scoring, was his first goal in 5 years or something.
Some head of that, by the way. It
was great. Obviously, their keeper had gone off injured as well. But I just think that they just tried to shut up shop and just tried to solidify themselves and not, and stop the rot. Had they not had the red card, obviously, they would still be leading. And I feel like they'd have backed themselves, like saying, we scored 3 goals in the first half. Like, we're good enough, and I feel like they'd have kept at least one of those players on. They certainly wouldn't have brought both off, and I think that's it. Like I said, I know we got the equalising goal, but like you said, it just kind of stifled it then, and then the game just kind of fell a little bit flat, didn't it, in that final 10 or 15 minutes or whatever it was. So yeah, I mean, it's, at the time you think, great, 10 men, but when we showed against Stoke, like down to 10 men, I think there's so much pressure from the fans, and then just from the players alike, thinking we've got to win this game because they're down to 10. But you often see it never plays out like that. But yeah, I mean, to come away with a point, it's a massive point gained, isn't it? But again, is that the first? Well, no, it's the second team in it above us that we've managed to get something from. because it was looking for all the world like it was going to be another one of those. Yeah. Well, we should have expected it. They're playing the team that's above us. We're not going to win. We're going to lose.
Yeah, and that's it, isn't it? As you say, just going back to your point there, their subs made a huge difference. Not the goalkeeper, obviously, but I thought Matt Clark, when he came on, as whenever we've played Matt Clark, whenever he was at Middlesbrough or Derby, he always shores up the defence against us. But yeah, you're right. We've come away from it. I hasten to say, like, it's a grumble from me, but like, it's sorry, James, I couldn't fucking help myself. But I don't think any Sheffield Wednesday fan can look at it and go, shit, we were 3-0 down and we've only drawn 3-3. Like, I mean, that is some brass neck on you, innit? That's some brass neck on you to say, oh, we've only managed to draw it. So yeah, it's fine. Like, it's okay. Like, I'm thrilled to take a point from that game. And when we look back at the end of the season, I think both me and you will sit here on that season review and go, what a fucking mad 90 minutes of football that was.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, for a neutral, we must be one of the most entertaining clubs to watch. Like, I was talking the other day actually about kind of us being on Sky Sports Plus. Obviously, this game today at 12:30. I feel like we're on at 12:30 every single week, but probably because we've got we have got such a big fan base that Sky just know that people will tune in to watch it. And I was saying, like, do you ever? I'm not that much of a football fan for me to watch every single game. I have other things going off. I can't just watch.
You mean you've got a life, James? How dare you?
Yeah, exactly. I can't just sit and watch Super Sunday and watch all the Prem games and everything else. I'm thinking to myself, is there people out there that actually just put on a, I don't know, Stoke City against Watford? You're pointing to yourself.
This guy, James. This guy.
But do you get on Friday? Do you get like dinner at lunchtime and go, oh, I can't wait for West Brom against, I don't know.
No, I'm not. I'll be honest. No, I'm not sitting there doing that. I'm thinking, why am I so fucking addicted to watching so much football that this will still be on in my house? No, I'll be honest, James. I don't sit there glued to it. But going back to your point about Sheffield Wednesday and being one of the most we are definitely one of the most entertaining watches in the Championship at the minute. The main reason for that is nothing to do with the way we play football. It's to do with the fact that if you watch us, you are guaranteed goals. Like, either way, you are guaranteed to see some goals in a game, and that was proved by this Middlesbrough one. Because even the second tier podcast managed to tweet out Sheffield Wednesday are really entertaining to watch, which I did sit there and think, fucking hell, boys, like, there must be something going on. We must be doing something right. If genuine neutrals who cover the entire division are actually saying these lot are a really good watch at the minute, which, again, when you're going through the emotion of it all, yeah, it's really difficult to sit there and say. But actually, we've spoken a number of times. Both me and you feel that this is going to be a season of mid-table mediocrity. We're not going down. We're not going up. What more do you want? You want roller coasters in games? Like, if you're going to control and dictate games, you're going to be either near the top of the table or you're going to be at the top of the table. We're not capable of doing that. So I'd rather have entertainment than anything else.
Yeah. Put it this way, I think it's 57% of our games have 2 or 3 goals in them. 26% have 4 or more. So if I'm right in saying that's 70-80% of games have over 2 goals. It was crackers, absolutely mental.
Yeah, it is. It drive you fucking
mad. The
worry
is that most of those goals are more goals are going in our goal than they are in theirs. But anyway.
Small details.
Yeah, we'll gloss over that. Let's talk about Preston then. I'll go through the lineup again. Beadle in goal, Valerie, Valentin, Iorfa and Max Lowe. Johnsnon, Bannon, Charles, Shalabar, Windass and Smith. So 3 changes, Valentin, Shalabar and Smith coming in. Otegbayo, Gassama and Jamal Lowe all midway and dropped to the bench. First league start as well for Shalabar, and I think he just earned that from Middlesbrough, really, didn't he?
Agreed. I thought the midfield 3 I was really looking forward to seeing, and actually as it panned out in the first half, I thought that midfield 3 was the right selection from the off, and I thought that proved throughout the first half. I will be honest, I know Michael Smith is he's not our goal scorer at the minute. Josh Windass is our goal scorer. I just looked at Preston's back 4 and thought, if you put in Michael Smith against them, that's a long afternoon for everybody in terms of Michael Smith, the two centre-halves, because they're all going to go home with sore heads. I'd much rather have seen a Josh Windass, a Jamal Lowe, Ike Ugbo when he came on, just because it offers you something different, because those players are good in the air. Those players will win everything in the air, as was proved today. They win everything when it's not on the floor. I would have just liked to have seen us play that. But again, going back into this, you have to rotate at this time of year. We're playing games, 2 games in the space of 3 days, three games in the space of 7, 8, 9 days. Like, you have to rotate it. And I think, Michael Smith was the obvious one to come back in. Paul Valentin, again, I think today, again, for me, I'm only talking about myself here, proved why I think he's more effective off the bench. But again, at the start of the game, totally understood because of the shape and all the rest of it.
Do you know what must be really frustrating? What I'm finding, I know obviously there is no best 11 anymore. That is no longer a thing. It's certainly not a thing for us at the moment. But if Danny really like to write his best 11 down, I don't think he can. I don't think he actually has got one, even if he wanted to try and pick one. Because I feel like whenever he does play what he thinks is his best 11, it never quite works. Do you know what I mean? Like, Shalabar has a great game. He puts him in. Jamal Lowe perhaps weren't really effective against Borough, so he tries Michael Smith. That doesn't work. Like, whatever he's trying, he kind of gets four out of the 5 pieces of the jigsaw right. It's just like one piece that's always wrong every 100%. Single time. It doesn't click. The only time we got them all right was obviously the first game of the season against Plymouth, and we were like prime Barcelona. I think every other time, whilst the performances have been good and the performances have been better at times, there's just something missing every time. And someone,
agreed.
I saw a comment on Twitter, and summed it up perfectly. We're great in the middle of the park.
Yeah,
even defending in front of our box, we're all right. We can deal with it. They don't, once they get back past us and they get the ball into the box, and then once we get past them and get into their box, we seem to struggle. Like, we just struggle in both boxes. The rest of it is absolutely fine, and unfortunately, that's where you score your points in either box. And it's just the story of the season so far. And I feel like whatever he tries, whatever he tweaks, the in-game tweaks seem to work far better than those that he makes kind of pre-game, and it just must be really, really frustrating for him.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he's, because of the nature of the fact that I do think there is a gap in quality between the 11, 12, 13 that you could start to actually who else we have available to us in terms of like when he does look to turn to the bench. Because if, again, as you say, like, it's this idea of we've got a really solid midfield, either duo or trio in there now. Problem is, all of our all of that midfield, creativity is designed to get the ball into wide areas. Yeah. And our wide players, aside from Josh Windass, who is having an outstanding season, aren't fit and firing at the right, or they only do it for like 25, 35 minutes of a game. They don't do it from the off consistently. And you're 100% right.
When I was saying like, I don't just mean the midfield players. I think like even the defenders and the forwards. When the ball's played in the middle of the park, and they're coming short or whatever, all that play is great. Good passing, intricate, doing everything right, defending. Like I said, when the ball's in front of us, more often than not we are stopping them from getting past, or interceptions, or putting blocks in and stuff like that. It's just once they get past us and the ball goes into the box, it's just like kamikaze, and we just don't really know. Panic stations, and we don't really know what we're doing. And it's just that organisation, I feel, that's really, really lacking. Go on. Sorry,
James. It would be really interesting now, because I know Max Lowe has had a fantastic day, and I know we will come on to individual players in terms of 2 players from today. It would be really interesting, in my opinion, to see what Max Lowe does when he goes back out to left back, because at the moment you have to, the first available opportunity, Marvin Johsnon needs to come out that team, whether he's absolutely bollocks. And I personally choose to look at it as he must be exhausted. He's 35 years old and he's having to play 90 minutes on 90 minutes on 90 minutes because we can't move Max Lowe because we've got nobody else to fill that spot. Today, and at Middlesbrough, by all accounts, oh my God, has he received some abuse in the past couple of games? And I'm looking at it thinking, yeah, okay, cool. Like today, prime example, as you say, like doesn't jump for the header. You know, we're looking at like we're 3-1 down and we're getting back into the game. He's refusing to run at players and he's going backwards. And we've got the Preston thing where he let the ball, Preston at home, where he let the ball go out because he's too busy berating everybody else. I get all of that, and they don't look great, especially when this is a player who just chews everybody out for every mistake that they possibly make. But he's also having to play every single 90 minutes because there is nobody else who you can put in his position at this point in time. And because of his age, he's just simply not going to be able to go from box to box to box to box to box for 90 odd minutes. So it will be really interesting to see when Max Lowe does eventually move back out there, whether actually in that particular wide area and when Jan Valery moves back out there, do our defensive frailties actually shore up in the wide areas? And actually, are we then much, much better at containing that? So actually, defensively, players don't get in down the side as much. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I totally agree. And look, I don't think Danny wanted to play Max Lowe at centre-back, did he, at all?
No.
Really. he wanted him to push Johnston and perhaps, you know, flip-flop them and that'd be like the rotation, you know, a little bit like, well, I would say Valery and Valentin. But again, like, Valentin isn't, he's not a right-back, and we've been playing as a 3. And he's definitely not a centre-back either, so it's been Valery playing every single game as well. So I think the same is happening on the opposite side.
Yeah, agreed.
The fact that, you know, I don't think Danny wants to play a back 3. He wants to play a back 4. I've said this all along. I think that's his formation that he wants. You know, you look at I heard a conversation about some of the top teams in the Premier League. Not many of them play. I think they were referencing Man United. They're playing a back 3, back 5 at the moment. Not many of the top teams actually win anything playing 3 at the back, like, and I think Danny really is probably of that mindset as well. But injuries and everything else has kind of forced us, and also the fact that I think we feel more comfortable as a team, even though it's new additions and new players. I think those that for some reason we just seem to play better as you know, playing 3 centre backs. I have no idea what that is, you know, what the reason is, because it's different people. But yeah, I don't think he wants to do that, and we've just been kind of. Our hands been forced a little bit, really. One player in that back 3 that had an absolute mare today is Dominic Iorfa. It felt very reminiscent of Portsmouth at home. Yeah. That was a 3-3, weren't it, that time where he nearly volleyed that lad's head off and had an absolute shocker. Yeah, it was just, you know, misplaced passes. He turned into Michael Jordan at one point, started just bouncing the ball, you know, that man ball. He gave the penalty away. Like you said, just doesn't look comfortable on the ball. No. I mean, I like Dom Iorfa. I think he's, I want him to do well. Yeah. But whenever he does play in that middle of a 3, he just seems to come a little bit unstuck, and today one of those days, really.
No, I'm 100% with you. I really like him as a player, but I also think, you know, everything that you've said there today, I don't think even he would probably argue against. I think he was another one who looked tired today. I think it was the first run. I think he saw the ball out of play. It went down the wide area, and I think it was Reece who was chasing it, and he's never, ever going to get there with a fully fit Dominic Iorfa. He nearly managed to beat him for pace, and this lad weren't quick at all.
Do you know what? That wasn't a foul either. Never really touched him. He just fell over. Probably thinking, fuck it, I'm just going to go down here. I'll get a free kick.
And normally when, I mean, again, I'm reading into body language here, which, you know, I'm no body language expert or anything like that, but you are looking at him when the ball goes.
I know when I've done something wrong, and my missus doesn't have to say anything.
Well, just stood there.
So I think I am an expert on body language.
But I think I looked at him today and thought he doesn't look entirely comfortable in terms of, again, I might be reading too much into this. We know his injury history at Sheffield Wednesday. We know he got brought off today with an injury. To me, it looked like we're forcing him to play at this point in time too many games because we just simply don't have players available to us. Now, we're never going to know this as two blokes who sit on a podcast. It would be really interesting to see what his training regimen is like at Wednesday at the minute because of how many games he is having to play, because realistically, he is the only, unless you're going to chuck Callum Batson into this, he is the only regular, fit and available first team centre-half. Like, he has to play at the minute. Like, I can't think of any others who you can currently play. I don't know about Michael Ehekwa. honest answer, because I know he's still at the club, but I don't know whether he's fit. At the moment, to me, it feels like we are running him into the ground, very similar with Marvin Johnson, just because of personnel that is available to us. And that goes back to what me and you discussed all the way over in the summer, is recruitment. There is no getting away from it today. However, he was terrible today. And I'm sure he would come off today and say, that was a poor performance. From the levels that he has set and the standards that he has set at Sheffield Wednesday in his time here, he was nowhere near that today. And again, I do feel that's to do with potentially fitness, but also perhaps positioning as well, because we know he can't play centre of a back three.
Yeah, one thing I would say, he's kind of almost come back from the dead a few times. I've seen him in some. He's had a couple of absolute shockers, and we'll be sat on here going, like on the pod going, he's got to be dropped. He's absolutely awful, and then he somehow just pulls it out of nowhere.
Looks so comfortable.
Yeah, so we know he's got it in the locker. He doesn't have to be, dragged out of the team and dropped to actually kind of give him a kick up the arse. He can actually do that. But like you said, whether or not it's tiredness or not, we'll have to see. But we've got a January transfer window coming up that opens in a couple of days, and we've got all that money that we saw in the
tons of money.
Absolutely tons of money to spend.
Hey James, I've renewed my season ticket half cut, so don't you worry. That $6 whatever it was that's gone from my bank account, no longer to be seen again. I expect that to be spent on players.
Yeah, I'll be doing mine as well before January the 1st, so you can add another £570 to your transfer budget. Just on that as well, by the way, we will be talking about the accounts and also how much we think the club is worth as well, off the back of our dear neighbours being sold as well. Loads of interaction on that post when that went out last week. So we'll be talking about that, but that will be on Extra Time. So do head over to patreon.com/WTID pod. Do that now. Sign up, 7-day free trial, and you'll be able to listen to that in all its glory. So yeah, Martin, I've seen your question about kind of who should come in this transfer window, any players. I don't know. Like I said, we looked at the accounts. It could be nobody at this rate, Martin.
Do you know, Martin? I'm sorry, I'll just put the question up, James. Martin, do you know anybody who would be happy to play for a Championship club for just shy of £1,000? Full stop, not a week, just £1,000. Because me and James will fund that one.
Yeah, exactly. Cheers for your comments. Keep all your comments coming in. I've seen another one from Felicity saying Josh is the best number 10 in the division. Let's be real. Well, certainly on his current form at the moment. Let's talk about him now. 9 goals for the season in the league. 9 goals in all comps. He hasn't scored in the cup. He's hardly played in the cup, to be fair. No. But 9 goals. I mean, the other thing that's even more impressive: 4 games, 4 goals. He hasn't scored a brace either this season. So that's 9 different individual games that he has scored. I jinxed him before the Borough game. We'd won every game that he'd scored in this season. He scored against Borough. We didn't win that one. He scored again today, but we lost this one. So that's me not talking about Josh Windass ever again. Let's talk about the goal. Fantastic goal, isn't it? He gets it out of his feet. Smashes it with his right foot. I mean, for all the world, I'm thinking it's either going wide or the keeper's going to get a hand to this. I think it's just a sheer pace on the ball. Yeah, you must have had a fantastic view of that one from where you were stood. Yeah, I think the move was really, really good. Like the whole move leading up to it. And you've talked about Jedi Kasama's improvement. Jedi Kasama got a pre-assist at Borough for Shea Charles's pass for Ingleson. Jedi Kasama got the assist. He did get the assist for Josh Windass's cock shot. Borough on Boxing Day. He got the assist again today, releases him into space. It's a great turn from Josh, turns himself out into space, doesn't even think about anything else, gets his head down and hits it. I thought he was closer than what he was after watching it back on the highlights. He's quite a long way out. Yeah, it is such a good strike because it bounces onto the turf, and the ball was skidding all over the place today. It bounces just on the turf just before it gets to the keeper's hand and just lifts it over him and just adds that extra touch of pace. It is a wonderful strike. Really good. I think it's his, I can't think of any better. It's his best goal of the season so far this year. And the other thing, James, on this, he's scoring all types of goals this year. Yeah.
He's scoring ones that come in off his knee. He's scoring ones where he comes in as like sort of more a predatory striker. He's scoring those ones like he did today, where he comes in off the flank, turns, rotates, hits it. I mean, he should have had another today. I'm sure he will say that as well. But at the minute,
I'll not tell him that on Instagram because he has outed someone already on there.
That were fun. Do you know what? No, do you know what, James? That is fucking fair play. I've got no problem with that whatsoever. It was especially the comment that he'd written about you. Comment on all of my posts. Leave it off. Yeah. I thought, do you know what? I actually thought, fucking fair play, mate. Like, go on, get in.
Just on that, yes, he should have scored the 1-on-1.
Yeah,
let's be right about it. I mean, the keeper's done well. He's spread himself. He's got a hand on it. He's not hit it low. He's hit it high. He's tried to beat him with pace. It is what it is. I think, like I said, the keeper's done really well to come out and kind of and put him off. But
he should score.
Yeah, he should score. Yeah. But let's be right about it. He had no right to score the goal that he did score.
No.
So if you want to even it up, he shouldn't have scored that one. He should have scored the 1-on-1. So therefore, he should have had one goal, and he got one goal. So actually, we can't really grumble. He scored. He pulled one out of the bag. I mean, to be fair, he did have 7 shots. Which look, we complain so many times about the lack of shots that we're having. I mean, some were high, wide, and handsome, but you don't score the goal that he scores without having a go. Do you know what I mean? And he's confident in his own ability that he can score. I mean, fuck's sake, he's got 9 goals. Like we're crying out for this striker, any striker, to be hitting the back of the net. He's now doing that on a regular basis. 100%. And he's we talk about Barry Bannon, we talk about Shea Charles, James Beadle as being first names on the team sheet. Josh Windass, like him or hate him, I'm not being funny. He's the first name on. He's one of the first names on the team sheet again. He's
so impactful at the minute because, as you say, he's not only scoring goals. We also are still getting all of the good from Josh Windass in terms of that link play, in terms of that smart. I mean, just rolling it back a little bit here before we go back to that kind of like singing his praises. Some of that interchange that he was involved with in that first half, with those one touch little thing, and when it gets to the edge of the box and it breaks down and everybody gets fucking frustrated. He actually, second half, he thought, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to hit it. And actually, that is a really nice balance and a mix to have in terms of that is such a nice balance in terms of having that mix between the two of being able to link the play and being able to flip those little balls in behind and round the corner and all the rest of it. But also when the opportunity calls for it, actually just hitting the ball. And he, at the moment, you can't level that at him. There were lots of opportunities today that Michael Smith had to get a shot off and chose not to take it, chose to lay it off into another area and all the rest of it. And I don't know whether that was a direct instruction from the manager, because I would certainly fucking hope so, the amount of times that a centre forward laid it off. Yeah. However, he got plenty of shots off today, Josh Windass. He's scoring goals, long may it continue.
Well, we had 18 shots, only 3 on target, but Josh Windass had all 3 shots on target, so he's doing his bit. Do you know what I mean? And great to see as well. I think he's having one of his best seasons in a blue and white shirt. Fingers crossed. I'm not going to say it, but everyone knows what I'm thinking.
Yeah, celebration.
Before celebration.
No. Before you, I won't talk about the injury, James. Don't worry about it. But no, just before we move on from Josh Windass, celebration was good today. The celebration from him for his goal was very much, you've gone about that like I am the fucking man type of thing. Yes. That was very much that, like he was walking over, pure Josh Windass swagger, giving it the what to the away, all the rest of it. It was a really, really good celebration today.
Go on then. He's on 9 goals then already for the season, and let's have a look. So he's on 9. He's had 19 starts. He's come off the bench 3 times. We're obviously just over halfway into the season as well. How many goals is Josh Windass going to finish on? Is he going to get 20?
No, he's not. He's not going to get 20. What's his highest season total for us? 16.
It's 11 in the league.
11 in the league. I think it was 16 in all competitions in, I want to say 22, 23, somewhere around there. Probably, If he gets over 10's his first benchmark, which is not that, that could happen
Derby.
on New Year's Day. Yeah, that's Derby. So that's Derby box stuff. But there's his first benchmark, which he will have set himself, which is 10 goals.
Yeah.
After that, if he can get himself to 15 goals for a mid-table team, that is fucking priceless from a lad who doesn't play centre forward. That is absolutely priceless. And again, everything that we hoped that Josh Windass would do, because we talked about him obviously on the season review at the end of last year in terms of working with the manager and him talking about how much he enjoys working with him. He is getting the absolute most out of Josh Windass, and I am really, really pleased to see it.
Here's one for you then. Get a little bit of a curveball. January window's coming up. Do you think there might be some clubs interested in Josh Windass? I know he's kind of had interest from clubs far and wide in other windows, and there's been some people saying, "Oh, fucking driving there myself." 9 goals, he's got to be well up there in terms of one of the leading goal scorers in the division so far. There's going to be some people sniffing.
Yep, Burnley, Middlesbrough would be another one if they lose Latte Lath, who's, making eyes at anybody who will, his agent certainly is making eyes at anybody who will, listen to him. This is going to be really painful. Leeds.
He's third on the on the leading goal scorers list. Borgia signs on 15, Josh Maja on 10. Then you've got Callum Lang, Latte Lath, Joel Perreault, Josh Brownhill, Windass, Cannon, and Vacuum Bayo, all on 9 goals in the league. So
but as you said, bad. James, the difference being is that Josh Windass has scored all of those in 9 different games. He's not just got 3 or 4 like Tom Cannon got 4 for Stoke in 1. Callum Lang got 4 for Portsmouth in 1.
Bayo scored 3 against us.
Maja got 3 on the opening day of the season. Like it doesn't matter at the minute who he's playing against. He's a goal threat. You'd be stupid if you are not looking at him. Or I don't think this is out the realms of possibility just because of how much of a shit show they are in. Southampton were interested in him a while ago. Now, I'm not saying Josh Windass is a Premier League player, because I don't think this iteration of Josh Windass is a Premier League player personally. However, do I think that a club who know they're getting relegated might decide to take a punt on him now and bed him in? Possibly.
Yeah, it's mad as well. And then the next question is, would you actually, as a fan, would you actually let him go? I mean, I know we have absolutely zero say in the matter. Yeah. And I know he is Marmite to quite a lot of the fans. It is, love him or hate him. For me, it comes back to that. You know what? I need to kind of practice what I preach. I keep saying we have to kind of, if the price is right, we have to be realistic. Like, we have to just let them go, if that means, because he's 30 years old. I mean, you could say he's coming into his prime, he's having his best ever season. It's mad, isn't it? Because when you start playing like this, and if a bid were to come in and we were to accept it, we'll be all thinking, fucking hell, we've let this bleeding goal scorer go. We're not even scoring goals at best of times. And you can see why it happens, and we have to get into that mindset that if it does happen, we've just got to accept it for the better of the football club.
Sorry, mate. I'm going to ask you the difficult question now. How much does it take to prize Josh Windass away in a January window? 9 goals. 9 goals, and how important he is. How much does it take to prize Josh Windass away from Sheffield Wednesday at the minute?
It's mad, isn't it? It's got to be. I mean, Joe's just saying, oh no, should have taken.
He's on about Marvin Johnson. Fucking too right. Anyway.
For those that are listening, Joe's just put should have taken $1 million for Johnson. Probably. I don't know how much is a £9 million 9 goal striker already halfway through the season. How much is he worth?
With also the fact that, James, I will caveat this to just give you some thinking time. With the fact of how important he is to again, if you're trying to make a sale, a promotion chasing club, I don't think we are, but again, if you're trying to make a sale, and also one of the top, definitely 5. You would make an argument for 3 most influential and key and important players to the way in which that we play football. How much do you think he is worth now, currently, to us in this window?
It's mad. So you look at the Latte Lath, and didn't they turn down 10 million for him? You look at the lad at Plymouth, the Morgan Whittaker. I think he, again, like in excess of £10 million. Now the difference is they've got age on the side. They're mid-20s, so you can see the reason for that. You've got to say then it's got to be like £4 million. I would have thought. Like, I don't know if I'm being too ambitious by saying that, but I think someone's going to have to take him away because there's always a risk in the summer that they're not going to perform. But he's in form at the
100%.
moment. He's 9 goals, 9 different games. I mentioned it so many times already. I think it's got to be 4 to 5 million. I think, but and if someone bid that much money, I think you'd have to just go okay, as long as it gets reinvested, which is another story.
Yeah, I was sitting around the £5 million mark. Just because of how important he is, but that is mainly and predominantly down to, and this isn't because me and you both want Josh Windass gone, because that's not the case at all. It's to do with a theoretical discussion surrounding how much is this player worth. I sit there and think if you got 5 million in for a 30-year-old guy, a 30-year-old forward who is having one of his best and most prolific seasons for his football club currently, and we don't know how long his deal was that he signed in the summer, because remember, he was out of contract in the summer. You have to bite someone's fucking hand off for that.
Yeah, exactly. Just sticking on the Preston game for a second. Obviously, we go 3-1 down. We've talked about the defending. I've seen in games, well, actually, this was at 2-1 down. Danny seems to, I'm going to say, he seems to panic a little bit.
Go on.
Just put all his attacking players on at once.
I was hoping that was coming.
And it never seems to work. It's like me playing Football Manager and going, fuck it. That's what I would do on Football Manager.
You.
Go like, let's have a 2-2-6 formation or whatever, and just have 6 strikers on. Fuck them. Let's just and go gung ho.
Yeah,
I get that. That's not what he's done, obviously, but it just seems like when things aren't going right, he's just like, let's chuck all my strikers on and hope that it works. But it never does.
I think, I think if we're going to get, technical for a second, just bringing it back aside from all of this theoretical chat, I personally felt we lost the game today based on the tactical changes that Danny made at half time. And that's not being overly critical of the manager. I think we found ourselves 1-0 down at a game where actually we dominated and controlled a lot of the game, but we were still finding it difficult to create that real, opportunity. As it turned out, for the rest of the 90 minutes, we still struggled to create that real opportunity aside from that Josh Windass one. The reason why I thought we were so dominant in the first half is because of that base of that midfield 3, because actually we dictated the tempo, we recycled the ball well. The fact that Preston actually managed to fucking score in that first half is down to, as Danny came out after, said, individuals making errors that they are continuing to make over and over again. It wasn't because we were a poor side. Personally, I would have liked to have seen him stuck with it for at least the first 15 minutes of the second half, because actually I felt the way we were playing, the way we were dictating the possession, the way we were dictating the tempo, or at least that's how it felt, I think we would have gone on to at least get an equaliser, and actually the game would have been closer. Going back to your point about the fact that you were saying about he's making, all of these subs and he's chucking them all on at kind of like once. Yeah, I agree with you. But I suppose that's because he's already made that tactical shift at half-time where he said, do you know what? We're going to sacrifice that control in the midfield to have more going forward in terms of putting Gassama on. Gassama is, played really well at Middlesbrough. Today, less impactful. In terms of, yes, I know he got the assist, but he's less impactful today in terms of he's not running at people. He's not, he's not driving 4 or 5 people away. You could argue, he's at fault as much as anybody for the third goal. The third. Sorry, I'm losing count here. There's been that many goals scored against in the last couple of days, James. Sorry. But, he beats the 3 players, and then rather than finding the pass, he kind of overruns it and overstretches it. And then you find yourself 3-1 down. And then what have you got to do? You've got to double down on that gamble that you've already made to try and push yourself and be more advantageous by going, fucking hell, we had a lesser spotted Charlie McNeil sighting today, which was unbelievable. I mean, again, but you see with that, a very raw player. By the end of it, he actually had Svante Ingelsson playing at left wing back to accommodate for Shea Charles going into the middle, to accommodate for Charlie McNeil playing up here. And it was just all, by the end of the game, nicest will in the world, as you say, he'd made all of these attacking subs. It had made no difference. And actually, we'd lost control of the game. And it was just a bit of a mess by the end of it.
Yeah, and the thing I was looking, I think, have they trained in that sort of lineup? Do you know what I mean? Have they trained with them players in them sorts of positions? Because if they have, then fair play. My guess is they probably haven't. And there's times when we play our best 11, I feel like they're not kind of on the same wavelength in certain areas. So, yeah, I just feel like it's a little bit desperation at times. it's what the fans would want. It's what you'd shout from the stands. Do you know what I mean? If you've got no tactical knowledge about football, you're shouting and screaming, saying, "Get Smith on, get Ugbo on, get." Do you know what I mean? You're shouting all those things from the stands, and he's just kind of doing them. I know that's not the case, and he's not just listening to Bob, who sits 3 rows behind him or whatever.
That's me dad. That
yeah. He's actually, he's trying things, and it's catch-22, I suppose, isn't it? Because if he doesn't do them and doesn't make them changes, and he brings Iofa off and puts Bayo on, people are just going to be like, "We're fucking 2-1 down, man."
100%. Yeah.
So he's stuck between a rock and a hard place. I do just feel, sitting here right now, there's times where it does feel a little bit odd, and it does just feel a case of just chucking the strikers on, just to see if they could score a goal without actually working it out. But
agreed. I don't think you're wrong. I was just sat there at that half time, and it was when he made the sub to bring Jenny Gassama on. I understood it, but it was the feeling of actually what you're sacrificing by removing that midfield 3 to go to a midfield 2, because I thought the reason why we were so dominant sounds weird when you're going 1-0 down, but actually why we were so dominant and so controlling of the ball and of the half is because of that midfield 3, because actually a lot of our good work came from that. He sacrificed it, as you say, gambled, didn't pay off. You've then got to double down on it.
Yeah, exactly. Right, let's move on to looking at Derby on New Year's Day. Before I do that, I'm just going to bring this one up. Martin says, "Hey guys, really random. Me and my son watch you guys regularly. Would you mind giving my son George a shout out? He would love it." So George, here's your shout out, mate.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Apologies for the blue language. Unless you tell me that your son's 23 years old, in which case it's absolutely fine. But yeah, George, that's your shout out, mate. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you do enjoy us rambling on about Wednesday. Yeah, Derby County up next. Obviously, we had the better of them at Pride Park. They'll be looking for revenge. Their form: lost, draw, won, lost, won. Did they lose to Leeds earlier on? I'm going to say they did. Or is that am I right in saying that? Have they lost to Leeds earlier on today?
No. Yeah, Leeds won 1.
So there we go. So 3 defeats, 2 wins, and a draw in the last 6. They beat West Brom and Pompey. They've only had 1 win away from home all season. That came at Coventry, which is not such a hard thing to do. That
even we've done that this year.
Yeah, they've had no win in the last 4 away, and they've only scored 2 goals in that time as well. So again, I mean, it's a weird one, isn't it? Because it's at home. You can almost think I preferred it to be away, given the form we're in at the moment. But that's got to change at some point. I think we're going to start picking up some wins at Hillsborough. Look, it's one of those games. We're still in that block of fixtures of kind of the quote unquote easy fixtures, let's say, predominantly. And I think we've got to go there. They've got to come here, and we're going to be looking to take all 3 points. Would you make any changes at all? Because for me, I'd be tempted to stick with playing Shalabar in that kind of holding role and getting Bannon and Charles further forward. Because as you said, the performance wasn't bad today, and I don't think you'd change it based on that. I think I'd be quite happy to play a similar side really than the one that started today. But other than Bernard, of course, coming back in. Yeah,
I mean, he has to come back in. I'm hoping that can release Jan Valery to go and play as that right wing back, which moves Dominic Iofa, if he's back fit, back into his centre half. I don't know whether that would happen. I'd quite like to see if Iofa's not fit, actually still persist with moving Valery out wide and actually putting Bayo in alongside Bernard, because I think he's going to be better off and better suited to playing alongside let's say, a calmer centre-half and a centre-half who is more comfortable on the ball. I am aware that of saying comfortable on the ball after he's just fucking miscontrolled too and got himself sent off.
I hope that in the Maldives, where he's been this last week, unconfirmed, just totally making that up, but I hope that he's been practising with his missus, a little bit of passing and controlling and stuff like that, in his Christmas week off.
Normally, James, I would look at this and go straight to the form guide and just go, well, how bad are Derby? Like over the last 6 games, we have only taken 1 more point than them over the last 6. Like we've taken 8, I think. They've taken 7. So the bonus to it is it's away from home, and Derby are piss poor away from home. I would love to see us stick with that midfield 3, because I think when Danny made those subs at Derby, the control that we had on the game and actually how much we were able to influence and dictate that play was better. Now, having said that, when we were talking earlier about watching just random championship games, I watched Derby West Brom the other night, and West Brom had all of the ball, all of the play, and still couldn't do anything with it and found themselves, I think they lost 2-1. They're a side that come and attempt to spoil it, a very typical Paul Warne type of setup. They will do exactly the same at Hillsborough. I would imagine them to set up a little bit more defensively than, say, for argument's sake, we've seen recent teams come to Hillsborough. There'll be less quality on the ball from Derby. So actually, I would love to see us go and dictate a game and actually zip the ball about a bit more and get those attacking players into those wider areas. Ultimately, I would like to put this one down as a newly promoted side. We have to take 3 points at home, because this is a newly promoted side, fresh to the division. We're in a more advantageous league position than them. I know they're not doing horribly for a newly promoted side. You need to go and win the game. As you rightly said, they've won 1 game away from home all season. Go and win it.
Yeah, I mean, I know this was against Leeds, but when you say about them sitting back, they only had 36% possession against Leeds, and that was at home. Again, I know it is against Leeds, so you have to caveat that a little bit. Yeah. But yeah, definitely they are going to look to let us have the ball and see what we're going to do with it. And we know that we do struggle when we do that. We are very much a team that likes to play on the break. I wouldn't have us down as a counter-attacking side, but I feel like we do just like to frustrate teams, and we do seem to have more joy when we do that. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Having said that, we haven't played, up until today, haven't played with Shalabar as that one holding midfielder. No. We've been playing with 2 holding midfielders, which kind of, I suppose, does lend itself to not really breaking teams down as much. Yeah. Get Barry Bannon further forward. I keep banging this drum. Drum's nearly worn out. I've been banging it that hard and that many times. Get Barry Bannon further forward, where he's more effective, where he can find those little passes in between. The pass that he did for. What goal was it? Where Valerie crossed it in, or was it Charles, or whoever it was?
For Valerie, last home game. Home game. Yeah.
That's what I want to see him doing. I know people will say, well, he played as a 2 holding when he did that, but he's going to have more opportunities to do that if he's further forward, and he can thread those little passes through and be much more effective. So maybe Derby will come to sit and do what they do and let us have the ball if we can find those killer passes and get him behind and play. Have the likes of Gassama or Valentin. Yep. The problem is when we have like Gassama or Masaba, who I've seen someone comment earlier, what's happened to Anthony Masaba? Is he injured? No idea. Not a clue on that one. But when we do play those, they like to be inverted, don't they? Yes. So we play with width, but they like to come in. So they don't want to get to the byline and whip across him. Whereas then you have Paul Valentin and Valerie, and they both like to get to the byline, and then you get Johsnon on the other side that likes to get a crossing early. He likes to get his crossing before he gets. It's all different. We need to,
Just what you were describing there, James, is a mix match of 3 managers in the space of 24 months. That's exactly what you're describing there. Marvin Johnson, Jan Valerie, and Paul Valentin are 3 players all signed by 3 different managers who all have a very different style of play. Like, ultimately, at the moment, we are doing the best with what's available to us.
I know as well that Gassama and Masaba aren't Danny Rill's players either.
No, and I'm just going to highlight this one from Ollie, because I know we have covered a little bit of Marvin Johnson's performance today, and in terms of kind of like where he is and kind of like his fitness. I do think if he is going to play against Derby, I do think that we as a set of home fans have to get the idea out of his head that he's going to be that marauding left back or that left wing back that we saw a while ago. Do you remember when he was in League One and he would always look to shift it past the player and then get a delivery into the box? That's not him. in this system. Him in this system is receive that ball on the edge of the area and actually look to play the square pass to then play the other one down the line, because you can't just keep running the same trick over and over again. I personally feel Marvin Johsnon needs to come out at the minute. But again, if you're doing that, you're sacrificing somebody else who's got to go into that back three. And at the minute, Max Lowe is playing so well. Max Lowe is, you can't remove him from that back three at the minute if we're going to persist with that system.
Yeah, Joe, the last time Marvin Johsnon had any sort of rest, so the last time he didn't play 90 minutes was against United.
Yeah.
Way back in, middle of October, early October.
And he come off injured, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, yeah. He came off on 65 minutes the game before at Norwich. He played the full 90 in that 6-2 defeat against Watford. There's only been 2 games where he hasn't featured, which were the 3-0 against Millwall and the 2-1 win against Portsmouth. Didn't play in those. And just looking now, he didn't start the first 3 games, and then he was obviously out on the bench for the 4th. And after that, there's only been 2 games that he's not started.
Yeah.
One he came off the bench, and the other one he remained on the bench against Pompey. So 18 starts, and he's played pretty much 90 minutes every time he's played. So yeah, you're right what you're saying.
I'm not wanting
well
to
overdue a rest. 100%.
I'm not wanting to defend the indefensible, James. I'm really not, because there's no way that you can defend the token effort that he made at the back stick today in terms of for their first goal. There's no way you can defend that. But I am actually just saying that there are 2 sides to a coin, in the sense of you've just rattled off how much football he's playing.
But it all comes back to not signing another centre-back in January. In the summer, sorry.
Yeah.
Because had we signed another centre-back, you'd like to say that he would be playing, and then it'd be Max Lowe and Marvin Johsnon playing, sharing it between themselves, pushing each other as well. And look, we might not be sat here talking about what looks to be a tired Marvin Johsnon. So
yeah.
There we go. Go on then. Let's have a score prediction then for Derby County on New Year's Day.
Well, we've talked about the fact that there are loads of goals at the minute in Sheffield Wednesday's game, so 0-0. No, I'm joking. 1-0. Sorry, 1-0. I know we've just coming off the back of conceding 6 goals in 2 games, so that sounds fucking mental. But yeah, I do just think it's not going to be a performance that's going to get everybody off their seats and be like, oh my God. But this Derby County team that are turning up to Hillsborough are going to be very different to the Derby County team we saw at Pride Park in terms of how adventurous they are going forward. I just feel that at this point in time, a 1-0 win and go into sort of like that game around the FA Cup would be really, really beneficial for everybody.
Yeah. When you concede 6 goals in 2 games, a clean sheet suddenly becomes far more important. 100%. And I know clean sheets don't, necessarily win your titles or win your they do win your games. It makes it a lot easier to win the game. But what I'm really saying, it doesn't give you an extra 55 points just because you've got most clean sheets this season. No. But I think you're right. A narrow win would still be, like I said, the fact that we could keep a clean sheet would be absolutely massive.
Yeah.
Just from a confidence point of view. I know Bernard will obviously be coming back in, but we're not going to be changing the whole 11. Do you know what I mean?
No,
we're not going to be changing.
No.
We haven't got the luxury of changing the whole back line. There's going to be some players still playing that played today and played against Borough. So yeah, I do agree on that one. Right, let's wrap things up. I can see a few questions. Apologies if we've not got to them. Owlsman said, couldn't understand why Shalabar came off at half time and controlled the game and seemed much more effective with free midfield. Yeah, we covered that earlier. And then Mark said, could you play Otigbayo at right wing back? Seems to have plenty of energy. I mean, Mark, if we start playing Otigbayo at right back, we are proper scraping barrels.
Yeah, I suppose just to cover that, Mark, my only worry with playing a young centre half at right wing back is all of a sudden you're asking him to do a job going into making his first steps in professional football somewhere where he's not naturally playing, if that makes sense. And also from what I've seen of him, I don't know whether he has the motor to be able to do that job in terms of going back and forth. Because we do ask our right wing backs, whether it's Valerie, whether it's Valentin, whether it's Callum Patterson, we've seen him play that role away at Brentford. I don't know whether he has that engine in him at this time. I'm aware that I'm talking about a 19, 20-year-old here, but I am also aware of when you look at his build and his frame and sort of what we've seen from him, I would feel much more comfortable us phasing him into a centre half and then looking to experiment a little bit further down the line with him in terms of positions.
He's 6'4". I mean, he would probably be one of the tallest wing backs ever when he in professional football.
Dan Burn-esque, yeah.
At 6'4". Certainly, his frame it lends itself to being a centre back. Right, we're going to wrap things up there. Massive thanks everyone for listening to the podcast for the whole year as well. By the way, it's been a great 2024. There is still another episode that's going to be dropping tomorrow or maybe Tuesday. I've asked for people's best moments of 2024, or moment, should I say. I've got a funny feeling, I've not listened to them all, I've got a funny feeling they're probably all going to be the same one, and that'll be very embarrassing if they are. But yeah, I've got a funny feeling what it's going to be. But yeah, that'll be dropping in the next couple of days, so do look out for that one. But yeah, thank you everyone for listening. If you want to listen to us talk about the accounts, I'm not an accountant, but just from what the general consensus is, and how much we think that the football club is worth, then do head over to Patreon, patreon.com/WTID pod. And if you want one of these, I mean, look, I don't even need to say it there. The North Stand t-shirt, have been going on for ages, but people still buy them. Yeah, the link's all in the on our socials. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great new year, and we'll see you all on the other side.